Jesus went off to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, or of Tiberias, and a large crowd followed him, impressed by the signs he gave by curing the sick. Jesus climbed a hillside and sat down there with his disciples. It was shortly before the Jewish feast of Passover. Looking up, Jesus saw the crowd approaching and said to Philip, "Where can we buy some bread for these people to eat?" He only said this to test Philip. He himself knew exactly what he was going to do. Philip answered, 200 denarii would only buy enough to give them a small piece each. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said, "There's a small boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what is that between so many?" Jesus said to them, "Make the people sit down." There was plenty of grass there, and as many as 5,000 men sat down. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and gave them out to all who were sitting ready. He then did the same with the fish, giving out as much as they wanted. When they had eaten enough, he said to the disciples, "Pick up the pieces left over, so that nothing gets wasted." So they picked them up, and filled 12 hampers with scraps left over from the meal of 5 barley loaves. The people, seeing the sign that he had given, said, "This really is the prophet who is to come into the world." Jesus, who could see they were about to come and take him by force and make him king, escaped back to the hills by himself. Last week in the church, I was talking about the balance between rest and activity, and I quoted from a book I read years ago, a book that had quite a big impact on me. The book was called Sabbath Rest, and as well as talking about the sacred nature of rest, it gives lots of practical activities that can help us reclaim rest as something sacred. One of the ones that I particularly liked was the suggestion of celebrating a Sabbath meal. Sabbath meal is not just one that you have on the Sabbath, be it Sunday or Saturday. You can have it on any day, alone or with others, and it doesn't need to be grand. It can be quite simple. What the book says is this: prepare a Sabbath meal, alone or with friends or family. Shop for the ingredients, choosing those that bring you the most pleasure. This food is not so much for survival as for sheer savoury delight. Put on some music, turn off the phone. Take as much time as you like to feel, to taste, to smell each ingredient, every spice, bread and vegetable. Decorate the table with flowers, colourful placemats and candles. Say a prayer. Give thanks, remembering all the people who gave, harvested, packed, shipped and sold them for you. Give thanks for the bounty of the earth. Enjoy. Talking about it last weekend, dawned on me, it's been quite a while since I had a Sabbath meal. I used to do it regularly, but I've got out of the habit recently, and I think it was a good habit to have. The thing about a Sabbath meal is that it doesn't just happen. It can. I suppose any meal can become a Sabbath meal. But the idea is that the preparation is all part of that Sabbath experience. So this meal really began a couple of days ago when I started thinking about it, where it would be, what form it should take, who would be here. Outdoor, I thought, somewhere peaceful and quiet, a picnic maybe. The who was easy, just me and you. What needed a bit more thought? Cold chicken, maybe? With a little salt? No. That always reminds me of family picnics as a child. And that would take me back to the past. Not help me stay grounded, rooted in the present. Bread. Good bread. And something to put on it. Cheese maybe. Something spreadable. A little stinking bishop. Or maybe some brie de Meaux. If I was out in the country, I was going to drive, so no wine, but something to drink. Lemonade, maybe. Old-fashioned, cloudy lemonade. Or ginger beer. Ginger beer is good on a picnic. Yeah, that seems right. Maybe something sweet, too. And then all the other things that I needed. They'd need to be prepared. A plate, a knife, a spoon, a cup. Before a thing was bought, I'd already begun entering into this Sabbath experience. It isn't so much preempting the experience. That's not how Sabbath meals work. If you preempt them, you start to develop expectations. And that leads you to start living in the future, not in the moment, in the present. No, the planning, the preparation, the shopping, they're all part of that Sabbath meal, Sabbath experience, each to be enjoyed in its own time. Depending on the particular meal, there's all sorts of other things that might contribute to the experience. The journey, the company, the place, the sights and sounds and smells, and yes, at some point, the food. Savouring every morsel, each new taste and smell and texture. As the book says, each moment of savoury delight. The feeling of being satisfied and of rest. No rush for things to end. Staying in the moment. Breathe. Give thanks. Be. And all that to get the most out of a little bread and cheese. But it's worth it. We're worth it, aren't we? Sabbath meals can be grand and elaborate, but they don't have to be. Sometimes simpler is better. Maybe just bread and cheese, or bread and fish, or bread and wine. There's a meal that we often share, a sacred time, in a sacred place, just as with any Sabbath meal, with carefully invited people, not invited by me, I'm invited just like everyone else. But a Sabbath meal nevertheless, one that we prepare for, take time to enter into it. When the time is ready, bread is taken, blessed, broken and shared. It's given and received with thanks. I suppose I'm left wondering how close our celebration of Eucharist on a Sunday comes to being a truly Sabbath meal, and what, perhaps, we can do to make it more so, to heighten our experience, to help us become more present to each moment, more present to each other, to those who share this Sabbath meal with us, to God in His Word, to Christ, our host, in the breaking of bread, and to the gratitude we hold in our hearts. If a change of approach can elevate a simple meal of bread and cheese into something sacred, how much more worthy of our time and effort and attention is the meal of bread and wine to which Christ has invited us. How much more will we take from our sharing Eucharist if we do all that we can to enter into the Sabbath meal in the right spirit.